In honor of St. Patrick's Day, we're going to be making a cute little block today. We're going to be making it with this little pattern here called the Shamrock chain. For those of you who have played with foundation piecing before, this will be pretty simple and straightforward. But I always work with my fabrics like so. I cut my fabrics a little on the large side just to make life easy for me. What I do is I always line it up here, fold it like so. Some people pin them, which we can do here just to make life easy. Some people don't. I usually just pin the one piece and then match the other piece up alongside it, like so. And then the trick to these is you're actually doing it on the inverse. So we're actually going to sew it in the back side here. So everything's sewn in reverse. We sew on the line here, as you can see, and then we just kind of finger press these open. Some people will use a roller, some people actually steam them open. I just use my finger. Now what you'll note here is that sometimes, in this case, it looks like we're gonna have just a smidge of the dark green might pop through right here. It's called a shadow. To get rid of shadows, you come underneath and you're going to trim this down to a little less than 1/4 of an inch, just a shade less. And then you can flip this one over and you'll see you want it to kind of be even as well, just so it looks nice and neat, but we'll make this one just a shade over 1/4 of an inch. So when you do the trimming, and I just used the line here, you'll see when we fold this back over that my shadow where that little green was disappears. So hopefully that will help you as you're dealing with shadow issues. Now the next step we do here, fold on the A2, A3 line. You always do these in the order kind of that they're numbered. Doing foundation piecing is much like paint by numbers. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take my little handy dandy ruler here, trim this down. Okay, we put the 1/4 of an inch line on there, trim it off. I get rid of my little tails. For those of you who do more artsy stuff, you can keep the bigger pieces. Now I'm going to put my A3 piece down, which happens to be this next big piece. And again, cut a little on the larger side. And again, to make sure that you don't have the shadow, what I do is kind of tuck this under just a smidge, and it's hard to tell with the white fabric here, but that's why we're doing it, just below that, so that there's a little bit more of the white showing than out from under the green. That minimizes your shadows. We're going to go right to the point and stop. Okay, and you'll see we cut a little on the close side. We should be okay. Again, we fold over. All right, and now we're going to do the last piece here. And again, you want to make sure all of your pieces are sitting nicely flat, so you don't accidentally cut a piece you don't want to cut. Fold this back this way. I'm going to take our next piece here, which should be this one right here. We'll line those up again, put a little bit extra over so we don't have to worry about it showing through. And then we're going to start at the corner. work our way to the point. Pull our pin out. And again, I've starched these pretty well so that when I fold them, they stay folded over. I have found that helps quite a bit. Now you'll see we have this piece together. Now we're going to trim it up. And you're going to want to trim right to the line here. My other piece out of the way so I don't accidentally cut it. These are all our scraps. Again, trim right on the line. Now the reason the pieces are a little bit on the large size is so you don't have to kind of force fit them, which sometimes happens. You have to really be careful. By cutting them a little on the large size, you keep from having to, it goes more quickly. Whoops. Good thing that wasn't my finger. And now we're going to this last piece over here. And there you go. So this is our first piece. You can see it's all trimmed up, nice and neat. Now we'll go to the second piece, and basically we're going to repeat the same process we did before. Okay, now we have our two pieces together. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew these two pieces together. Put them like this. We're going to match the pieces right there to the edges, like so. As you can see, we can cut those little tabs off if we wanted, but that's what we need to match up. We're going to sew it on just on the line there, or just inside the line. All right, what you'll see is you should have a pretty decent looking point there when you do it just inside the line, as you can see here. Now, I typically at this point in time, just because this is how I do things, this is our clover, I'm going to, just because I like it to lay flatter while I work, I pull off these little edges here. Okay, I happen to have this little handy tool here, and this is a foundation piecing water pen. Okay, and that's going to help me here along this edge. All I do is put a little water on it on both sides. Helps you aim the water so that it doesn't go everywhere. You have to brush it along. Okay, it's just filled with water. And that will help this tear a little easier. As you can see, it peels off really easily. That little bit of water on there. And this helps it lay quite a bit flatter as I'm working. Now, I'm a firm believer in making sure that we measure as we go. And this should be from edge to edge. It is 4 inches. Now, the next piece we're going to do, and we have that made, is we're going to make a little bit of a triangle here. So these pieces, we're going to make them very quickly. We'll chain piece them. We're going to make itty bitty triangles. For those of you who are used to chain piecing, you'll understand this. I'm just going to do them all in a row. I have to make 4 of them. Fold these over, and I'm going to fold it towards the dark side, as you can see. That way we don't have any shadows. Nothing hiding in the shadows. All right. Then I have these little square pieces I'm going to add to it. So I'm making little triangles out of these. Believe it or not, these will become triangles. So I'm going to line it up right here, okay, against this dark edge. So it's going to look a little bit funky, but that's how we're going to put it together. Okay, and we have our beautiful little pieces here that look nothing like triangles at the moment, but we're about to fix that. So we're going to flatten these out. Okay, and for pressing purposes, I am pressing towards the bigger piece just because that way we have a flatter seam here. Folding this way, you would have this fabric on top of that fabric, which would make it for a fat seam. Okay, and then we'll fold this one here. All right, so now I'm gonna put it in here. And again, the 2 3/4, so you're measuring in, excuse me, this is 1 3/4. You measure in this way, and you're going to measure in this way. Okay, that's at the 1 3/4 mark there. What you'll find is that I am right here at about 2 1/2. Okay, so even though I cut it at 1 3/4 on the diagonal, it's at 2 1/2 on these sides, which should be perfect for our purposes because we're going to put these on these edges here. Okay. Again, to find these, just so if you're particular, you can fold it, put a little press mark in there. Okay. And you're doing it on these long sides, so you can easily kind of fold these. Beauty of leaving the paper back on is that you can tell where your middles are. Match your middles. Now what you'll note is we're at 4 1/2 inches. So this will finish at 4 1/2 inches square. We're gonna do the last one here. Okay, this finishes us up. Okay, so now we have the first edition of our chain, and now the rest is pretty well straight piecing. I'm going to add these and add these to get our final piece. So first thing we're going to do, just like we would normally, we're going to add some pieces to the sides. And I tend to like to work with the paper side up when adding these pieces, just so I can keep all the paper pieces flat, plus it pulls a straight piece all the way through, and your feed dogs grab that straight piece better than that flat piece of fabric, much better than it will ever grab the paper. Put that on like that. Okay, we have these nice pieces on the edge. I'm going to do a little quick piecing here, putting these little squares on the ends. And to minimize my thread use and keep things flowing, I'll do one side, flip it over, do the other side. You can, if you want to flip these over this way, you can then nest the seams. Just make sure you don't have any shadows in there, which we don't, so we're good. And nest them on the one end. Get these to match up. Again, I tend to pull it so that my ends will match up here nicely. press this open. You'll see we have some nice looking seams here. Okay, for our little bitty chain. Now we're gonna do what we did the last time. Add this next piece here. Open her up. And then we're going to add the last pieces, which are these right here. And we're going to work the same way we did last time, just adding the little pieces to the end. Okay, we've now hit the point though where we can fold this in. So we're going to take this piece, we're going to fold this in like so. And this will allow us to get a cleaner seam. Okay, these are going to get folded towards the green. These are folded towards the inside binding or inside strip. Note, I leave the needle down whenever I mess with fabric. Okay, trim this piece, and voila, our finished block.